How to maximise your chances of getting into UK specialty training. A question I get asked every day by medical students and foundation doctors on the ward. Hey everyone, Academic Doc here and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Leher and I'm a clinical academic doctor working in the UK. In this video, I'll be taking you through 4 simple and easy steps that you can take as a medical student, foundation doctor or trust grade doctor to maximise your chances of getting into a UK specialty training programme. Make sure to watch to the end of this video because these tips can help you score top marks in the portfolio section of your application. UK specialty training programmes are getting more and more competitive year on year. I've got some statistics here for you. So in 2023, the competition ratio for ACCS and core psychiatry training was 4.99 for every application. For core surgical training and internal medicine training, this was around 4.2 for every application. A few years ago, these statistics were more around the 1.5 to 2 mark. So getting that specialty training number first time round is now harder than ever before. There's a couple of reasons why this is. Firstly, we've seen a large expansion in the number of medical students being trained, and with the recent announcement of medical apprenticeships, this number will continue to rise. There's also a substantial increase in the number of international applicants who are applying to specialty training. Despite this, UK specialty training numbers stay relatively the same. But don't let this stop you from applying. If you follow these 4 simple steps, I can guarantee you'll increase your chances of getting that specialty training number first time around. I'm going to be using the IMT scoring matrix as an example here. So let's have a look. Points can be awarded for each of these domains, including postgraduate qualifications, additional achievements, presentations, publications, teaching, QI, and leadership. In the 2025 round and from then onwards, the additional achievements section and the leadership section will be removed, so the overall points will be out of 30. The first thing you can do to improve your chances of getting into specialty training is teaching. Now this is broken down into 2 subsections: teaching experience and training in teaching methods. Whilst informal teaching to medical students on the wards is relatively easy, it will only give you 1 point. There are, however, much better ways to try and maximise your points in this domain, particularly if you don't have points in other domains like postgraduate qualifications. To score maximum points on the teaching experience section, the IMT recruitment website says, "I have worked with local tutors to organise a teaching programme for healthcare professionals or medical students on which I regularly taught over a period of approximately 3 months or longer, and I have formal evidence of feedback." Basically, what they're asking you to do is to organise a 3-month teaching programme. This is actually a lot easier than it seems. There are 2 ways you can do this. Either come up with an idea and do it yourself. So for example, me and one of my friends did an online teaching program on specialised foundation program when we were foundation doctors. We advertised it to everyone across the UK via social media. We made an online feedback form and asked everyone to fill it in at the end of each session. After the program ended, we got the local head of clinical academic training to write us a letter explaining what we did and use that as evidence in our portfolio for when we applied for specialty training. If that seems like a lot of work, or if you're short of time, the other way is to get other people to do the teaching, but do the organising bit yourself. For example, you might be interested in pursuing a particular specialty, in which case you can ask some of the registrars or clinical fellows working in that specialty if they'd be happy to do a lunchtime teaching session on a regular basis for medical students, foundation doctors and other allied health professionals. This would give them the added benefit of having something on their portfolio too. If you want to be really extra, you can ask the consultants in that specialty if they have any contacts for pharma companies, because they can then organise some free lunch, which is an incentive for other people to then attend. If you're proactive and organised, this can be a really easy way to score top marks in this domain. Now let's talk about teaching in training methods. Obviously, there are masters and other postgraduate qualifications like PG certs and PG dips out there, but they're quite expensive and are probably not worthwhile spending thousands of pounds just for a couple of points. Plus, they also take up a lot of your free time. There are also some online courses, and most of these are in the region of around £500, and that can be pretty expensive if you're a foundation doctor. What I do recommend though is this online course right here. It's a course by University of Nottingham and only takes a couple of hours to complete. It's completely free of charge to do. However, if you do need a certificate, you can pay £50 at the end of the course and you'll get an online certificate as proof that you've done it. And as it's 6 weeks long, you get an easy point. The second thing you can do to improve your chances of getting into a UK specialty training program is to do a quality improvement project or an audit. Now, this is already part of the foundation program, but I'll show you how you can use this to maximize points in this and other domains. If you don't know what an audit or a quality improvement project is and want some support in getting started, check out my other video where I walk you through step by step on how you can do an audit with an example. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Audits and quips are easily done when you have some spare time on the ward. If you're struggling for ideas, ask the registrars or consultants on the rotation that you're on, and I'm sure they'll be able to point you in the right direction. To score maximum points on the quality improvement section when applying for IMT, you need to show that you've been involved in all stages of 2 cycles of a quality improvement project. This will give you a whopping 5 points. If you're short of time, you can easily do this in 4 weeks. For example, in week 1, find yourself a friend or a colleague who can help collect the data with you. If you don't have time during your normal working hours, you can either stay behind one evening or come in a little bit early, or even use your SDT time for this. In week 2, you can analyze the data. And then in week 3, you can present your findings of your initial audit or quality improvement project at a lunchtime teaching session. This will count as your intervention. Or alternatively, if you don't want to do a teaching session, you can put up posters around the ward or even in the toilets. And in week 4, you can re-audit to see if there have been any improvements following your intervention. You don't necessarily need to come up with very unique or innovative ideas for your quip or your audit. You can also do very simple things. For example, you might decide to do an audit on smoking cessation, and you might look at how many patients have had a smoking history taken, have had nicotine replacement therapy, and been referred to the inpatient smoking cessation service. Or you might want to do it something around resuscitation and DNAR forms and check how many patients have had one completed. The third thing you can do to improve your chances of getting into a specialty training program is presenting your work. This might be an audit that you've been involved in or research. The biggest mistake most applicants do is only presenting their research or audit locally within their hospital. Although this is relatively easy to do, it will only get you 2 points. To score the maximum points in the presentation section, the IMT recruitment website says you need to be involved in an oral presentation in which you were a first or second author and give it at a national or international meeting. This will give you a whopping 7 points. Or if you present a poster, it gives you 5 points. Now, this is still better than the 2 points that you would get for presenting at a local hospital. Now, you might be wondering, why is she saying this is so easy to do? I'll share a simple hack which is particularly relevant for foundation doctors. Now, let's say you've already put in the effort to do a multi-cycle audit. Why don't we take it that little step further to try and present it, not locally, but nationally? And I'm not talking about fancy conferences like the BSR or BTS. I mean, you're welcome to go and submit it there, but the chances of you being accepted, particularly if you haven't done anything unique or innovative, are pretty slim. There's a national conference that happens every year just for foundation doctors. Not many people know about it, but If you manage to get selected for an oral presentation, that's already 7 points in the bag. Chances of acceptance are much higher than at other fancy conferences because it's specifically aimed at foundation doctors. It's organised by the UK FPO every year and usually happens quite early on in winter, around January time. So if you manage to do an audit quite early on in autumn, then you can try and present it at this conference. If you've never done an oral or poster presentation before and want some help creating or rehearsing them, don't worry, I've got some more content on that and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. The fourth and final thing you can do to improve your chances of getting into specialty training are publications. Now, everyone gets a little bit apprehensive when they first hear this. I know getting involved in research is particularly difficult whether you're in medical school or early on in your career. It's very much based on opportunities that are available to you and being in the right place and at the right time. But let me share with you some tips on some of the more easier publications. Now, I'm not talking about doing a whole systematic review, but more simpler things like case reports. These can give you those extra few points needed to push you over the threshold for an interview. The IMT recruitment website says that if you are the first, joint first, or corresponding author of one PubMed cited other publication such as an editorial, review, case report, or a letter, you can get 3 points. And if you manage to get 2 of them, that's 5 points in the bag. My personal favourite are case reports as they're relatively easy to find, write up, and are clinically relevant, so can really help brush up your knowledge. I managed to write, publish and present a case report in my F2 year at an international conference, so I'm sure you can do this too. I'm not going to go through the nitty-gritty of how to write a case report, but if you do need some guidance, check out my other video. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. I show you how you can write a case report in just a single weekend. If you're stuck for ideas, ask your consultants or senior colleagues. They usually have a bank of interesting cases and I'm sure they'd be more than happy for you to write them up. I wouldn't worry too much about what specialty the case report is in. As long as you're doing one, that's the main thing. Unfortunately, there is no shortcut to getting a specialty training number. But if you do some of the steps that I've highlighted in this video, I can guarantee you'll increase your chances of getting that specialty training post. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, please do hit that like and subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest content. Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.